Well, it lost connection to our Periscope, so there goes that. So we're just doing Facebook and YouTube today.
Okay.
Hold on, I think I can edit it really quick. You're obviously going to have to edit out this part of the show.
Yeah, that's super easy. That's not a problem.
So if people are watching this live right now on another thingamajig, we are trying to get Twitter working. We'll get it there. Just bear with us. I guess I probably should have tested it beforehand.
No, we're good. I mean, we've done it once and it worked fine, so we're good.
Yeah, I mean, I just assumed it would work naturally since it worked last time. We should be good now. It says check mark. All right, let's start this countdown. I think we're ready to go. What is going on, everyone? You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Marks, for the Marks, and I am your host, Kyle Gagliardi, and my co-host is my good friend, Jim Tucker, or as I like to call him, Tucky!
What's going on, Kyle?
So to start off this stream today, we had a little difficulty with Twitter. I'm still not seeing our feed on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm also not seeing it there as well.
I know we are live on Facebook right now, and definitely YouTube is working. And if you didn't know, and you're just tuning into this episode or listening to it at a later time, we do our shows live on StreamYard now. Tuck, you are live from Nevada. I am here in Indiana. What has been up with you lately?
1,996 miles separate us, but we are closer than ever with this production. But yeah, it's been a week, a little more settled in. The fires out here are taming down,
subsiding. Okay,
you have to check the air quality. We were getting smoke. You couldn't go outside. You shouldn't. Yeah, so it was a little crazy, but getting used to it. I'm still using my GPS to drive everywhere, but
I still do that here in Indiana, man. So there's no shame in that game.
Yeah, it's solid. So life is good. Monday, I've got my new teacher days starting and professional development next week. And then the 9th, we start with kids. So life is good.
Geez, nothing like just starting right away. You moved in a week ago or a little longer than a week, and then work. Here we go.
Here we go. Boom.
Let's do it. We already got a comment here from Nasty, a.k.a. Ian G. He says the man cave is looking great in the Tucker household.
Yeah, I was telling Kyle a little bit earlier, it's the only house in the room that's actually put together. We've painted a few rooms, but I have hung up everything in here, and there is not anything else hanging on any wall in any room the rest of the house. So we are off to a great start. Thank you.
So is there anything, what else is there to do? I mean, you got to work on the main bedroom, right?
Yeah, like that stuff's in. The TV's up in there. We just got to hang stuff on the walls, kind of situate her office a little bit more, but you know, it's all here and most of the boxes are unpacked. So the hard part's over with and we're ready to rock.
That's good news, man. I'll tell you what, I haven't seen you now. It's been like 3 weeks. I already miss you over here, man. I spent a little bit of time before inviting you over to the stream, searching the hashtag Where's Tucky on Twitter. You remember when I used to do that around the condo before we would record? Yeah. I'm keeping the trend going, but I'm just going to take pictures of the live feed. Yep. And Where's Tucky has to live on. Like you said, how many miles away are we?
1,996 if anyone's keeping score at home.
Yeah. How did you really just look that up, or did you just know that?
Well, actually, it's 1,996 from my house in the Four Seasons. So where you're at, I'll say 1,989.
I used to live in the Four Seasons, so yeah. I guess it kind of counts. But other than that, we might as well get into things here. But first, we got to plug the Overtime Sports Network. OTSN is slowly making its comeback, Tuck. I don't know if you've been checking out otsportsnetwork.wixsite.com/OTSN. I just posted a new blog about Aaron Rodgers. I know that's not wrestling related, and that's not what we talk about here, but Aaron Rodgers is back in Green Bay, so we got a happy gags over here.
Yeah, Overtime Sports Network. That's the key. Pro wrestling is a sport that we cover on this podcast, but the Overtime Sports Network covers everything. And sipping my morning coffee and just thinking about you giggling like a little schoolgirl as Aaron Rodgers reports to camp. I'm whatever about it. I'm not a diehard Bears fan. I guess I wanted them to win because my dad.
You're a fantasy player.
I'm a fantasy football player. That's what it is. And out here in Vegas, we've got the Raiders in Vegas, but that's 6 hours away.
I know a lot of people actually going to that game that are Bears fans just because it's the first year in the stadium. Might as well. You might have to get to a game this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's down there, so
you'll be there in a couple Saturdays.
Yes, I can't wait for that. I'm flying down. Mista, her mom and sister are driving, so I'll be at school. They'll be driving. So we had to buy one plane ticket one way between the three of us for the trip. So that's not bad.
Okay.
Because they're driving down, and then on Sunday we'll just drive back. It's like 6.5 hours.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'll get down there at like 8 o'clock on Friday, party. Like the thing that we have to going to a show in Las Vegas, it starts at like 5 o'clock in the evening. Because
that's true.
To make it live at 8 and 7, around everywhere else. So, not like the pregame's probably gonna have to kick off about 8:30 a.m. for Mikey and I out in Vegas.
Ooh, a little early pregame going on.
We're gonna have to get after it,
I just realized I had to hit the go live button for Twitter, so we are live now on Twitter. So
and we are live. Okay, good.
So if you prefer watching us on Twitter, go ahead over there at Pod on the Mark is where you can follow the podcast, Tuck. But if you wanted to follow the Overtime Sports Network, keep up with the blogs and everything going on there, where would you follow them on Twitter and Instagram?
@_OTSN. Take the initials of the Overtime Sports Network, throw a underscore before it @_OTSN.
It's simple. And if you can't figure it out, you just don't understand Twitter. Erica, oh my God, she's giving me shit because I know she wanted to watch on Twitter. She never gets on Facebook. So look at that comment right there, though, Tuck. She got on Facebook for us.
Hi, Erica. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. And, between the two of us, I think we are worth a Facebook login every once in a while.
Yeah, I think we're worth a Facebook like, a Facebook share, spread the love. Everybody loves OTM, right?
A Twitter follow, good people, and we you especially interacted with many people over the last week. Thank you, Erica. You're the best.
There was a point in time where Tuck had to take over the social media account, but that's when things kind of calmed down. Wow, what a comment from Erica Marini. You guys are worth it. Thank you, Erica. We are in the works of trying to get Erica on the show one of these times.
Heck yeah.
I can't confirm she will make an appearance one day. We may have to force her beyond her will or something like that. But
we got to have our people talk to her people, get the underwriter in the right spot, the right terms. It's not an easy process. If it was a straightforward process, we wouldn't have all these signings, in the middle of the ring, the contract signings for some of these big matches. And, maybe that's what we're going to have to do. Get on StreamYard, do the official signing. Yeah. And then, a few days later on the Thursday, do the show. Yeah,
I wouldn't say Erica is all elite, as she goes, we'll discuss pay, etc. But she is all OTM. I don't know how we're gonna work that. It's not. It
plays.
Okay,
and right now she's going for chat of the week. I mean, she's got 4 comments. Vogus won it last week. He was the most valuable mark. MVM, most valuable mark.
I like that. We might use that. The MVM, most valuable mark.
So, Ryan Vogus has one title to his name. Eric Marini coming in hot. Little competition from Nasty with Ian, but he's ass. One comment.
Ian probably left. We'll see it, kid. But we're here to talk about wrestling. So we didn't really talk about NXT. We talked about AEW a little bit, more just like the rumors. So we're going to go back to our roots here. Back in the day, we used to just talk, NXT and AEW, put them head to head. We're not going to put them head to head here. We're just going to dive into each shows that happened this week. How does that sound to you, Tucky?
I think it's a great plan.
All right, so NXT this week started off with a tag team match between Ciampa and Thatcher. They were taking on Pete Dunne and Oney Lorcan. The story really here, though, Tuck, was the return of Ridge Holland. We really don't know much about Ridge Holland. We haven't got to see him a lot on NXT, but getting this guy back just adds a little bit more to Pete Dunne. And you know, when Danny Burch comes back as well, you're going to have that UK stable forming, don't you think?
Yeah, really with Ridge Holland, like he kind of popped in with the Pat McAfee stuff.
He did.
But I could see this being a guy that Ryan Bogus, an active commenter, likes, a BMMBM, big meaty man bumping meat, big strong dude. I don't know much about him, but I'm interested. No. Solid accent.
It seemed like once Pat McAfee left that stable that they had, which I thought Pat made that group so much more entertaining, that they lost a little bit of steam, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Well, it was befuddling to us. I think we talked about it. Like, it makes sense now because Pat is on SmackDown, but
doing a phenomenal job, by the way.
Yeah. Michael Cole has went on the record saying he's reinvigorated his career. And that, pretty
that's
solid
saying a lot because Michael Cole's been doing this for 2 decades, maybe three now.
Yeah. He's a consummate professional. So, yeah.
One other thing I wanted to talk about, sorry, I was going to retweet this off the Overtime Sports Network really quick, is what are we doing with Tommaso Ciampa? So I tweeted about this during NXT. We know the history that Tommaso Ciampa has in NXT, the dominant runs that he's had with the championship. Ever since, and I know we discussed this briefly, I believe, towards, before we took our break, I don't like the pairing with Thatcher. What are your thoughts on way Ciampa's been booked over the past couple months?
I don't like it. And the reason is Ciampa's supposed to be a killer. He's a superstar. Now, I don't want to see every NXT takeover be Ciampa Gargano at the top, whatever.
Right.
Sure. But like this tag team to me is very vanilla, very, kind of by the book, of similar personalities, but they're different in their own regard. But there's nothing about it like when I look at them as a tag team that says like they should be champions, they are superstars, and things like that.
Yeah, there's nothing special about it, I think, is really what it comes down to. Great talent on their own. Thatcher's a little different, than other styles of wrestling, but we've seen what Ciampa has done. It's just frustrating to me knowing what he is capable of, the singles runs that he's had, the stories that you alluded to with Johnny Gargano in the past have been some of the best in WWE in the past decade, and he kind of just seems to be floating a little bit. So hopefully soon something changes there, but moving on here in this episode of NXT, we obviously haven't got the chance to talk about Samoa Joe, who just recently made his return to NXT. He was signed back as the enforcer, as we all know. He kind of had that reign for about a month, but it seems like now, Tucky, he is once again officially a wrestler. He came out this week on NXT demanding to William Regal to make that match with him and Karrion Kross official for NXT TakeOver 36, and that's exactly what happened. How are we feeling about the possibility? I shouldn't even say the possibility because it's happening. We are getting Samoa Joe versus Karrion Kross at TakeOver.
I think this is a very valid, a very reasonable opponent to defeat Karrion Kross, to send him to the main roster. I think that makes sense. Again, I saw Karrion Kross on NXT. The first thing I thought of was, wow, he lost to Jeff Hardy in under 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of what's going back and forth in my head. I wish William Regal would have been a little firmer and stronger. He was basically a puppet. Like Samoa Joe was like, I'm going to tell you, we're going to do this. We're going to do this.
You're going to do this. And then William Regal's like, yeah, you're right, Joe.
So
just like that.
Yeah. But I do think you can play that angle where William Regal's in the locker room pulling for Samoa Joe and pleading, and that makes it more real, right?
Yeah, no, 100%.
But you have the guy that's booking the matches, pulling for one guy. So I like that layer to it. It is a little different. I'm excited to see Samoa Joe back in the ring. How long has it been?
It's definitely a year, maybe a year and a half. I want to say he never wrestled in the COVID era.
I don't think he did.
I can't think of a Samoa Joe because he was working commentary with Monday Night Raw during all the pandemic Thunderdome stuff. So it might have been two years. So the fact that we are getting that return against Kross, who has established himself as an NXT champion now for a while, and we're gonna go back to the previous topic. Ryan Vogus chiming in the comments. Maybe Ciampa can't go like he used to, and is being protected in the tag team. Could be a possibility, right?
No, I believe it. I think that's valid. I mean, he's had how many surgeries on his neck? Like
a few.
Neck, back, like that whole area. No, makes me nervous, makes me sketchy. I get it, but like we've seen Tommaso Ciampa have lightning in a bottle with Johnny Gargano and DIY. Fantastic
stuff there.
Him and Thatcher, maybe they're too similar. I don't know.
That could be it too. They are very similar in a lot of ways. Erica chiming in. She cannot wait for Joe versus Karrion Kross. I know that she's going and rooting for Samoa Joe. And I know a lot of people on the internet are probably pulling for Samoa Joe because not just me, but everybody on the internet that I've been seeing, at least on Twitter, it seems as if Karrion Kross as a champion has been underwhelming to a lot of people. How would you summarize this reign, the second reign of Karrion Kross? Because it doesn't seem to be connecting with the NXT universe.
To me, the theater and production of it all has been more important and exciting to me than the actual in-ring matches. The smoke and mirrors and Scarlet and the way, like, I love that.
Yeah.
That's about it.
The presentation of Kross is that monster.
Yeah, and and that's like what we talked about last week. He lost that when he debuted on Raw. He had no Scarlet. The camera, the way they shot him compared to the Jumbotron did not make him look like a monster. And then you're like, okay, hi. I like Karrion Kross, so I think he's a bad dude. He's jacked. So he's got
I don't mind him. I don't think he's a guy that's going to put on like a 5-star match. It is basically like you saying the entrance and everything, Scarlet, everything that goes with it. Excuse me. That's kind of what is the main appeal for me with Karrion Kross. I think he just looks like a champion. Yeah. Now, will Samoa Joe dethrone him? Probably. I guess we will talk about that when we preview NXT TakeOver. But for now, we do know that match is official at NXT TakeOver 36. I have a tickle in my throat, Tuck.
I can hear it.
Yeah.
That's real.
So I've had... Hold on, let me take a sip.
Yep. I get it.
I've had like congestion and allergy problems going on for the past couple months. It seems to be bothering me for a while. So
are you taking anything to try to combat that, or are you just like riding it out?
I was riding it out. Recently, I have been taking Mucinex because I had a lot of mucus problems, and it also helps with cold-like symptoms. So that has helped things a little bit, but I have the final drainage stage going on.
Yeah.
So if my voice sounds different, that is why. So after that, NXT Women's Champion Raquel Gonzalez would come out halfway through the show to address the NXT Women's Division. Tuck, she virtually said there is no one left. There is nobody that can beat Raquel Gonzalez out here. Well, Tuck, she must have forgotten about Dakota Kai because she ended up standing right next to her the whole entire time. She turned on Raquel Gonzalez here, insinuating that she is next in line for a title shot. Now, to me personally, Tuck, this wasn't a heel turn because I believe both of these women are already established as heels. But I think going forward with this feud, Dakota Kai will be treated more as the babyface, even though I think that turn right there was more of a heelish thing. What do you think?
Yeah, the turn itself, right? She initiated the attack. When you're thinking about faces and heels,
not an ad, Vogus, not an ad.
No free ads. When you think about an actual heel turn, the one that turns heel is the one that initiates the attack, and that's what Dakota Kai did. But the two of them together were almost like a heel stable. Like how can a heel turn heel? Right? Is it the math equation of like a negative and a negative make a positive kind of thing? I don't know. So I'm interested to see next week how it ends up getting booked, who they're trying to portray that way, because I think Dakota gets the natural face vibes because Raquel has always been the strong heel type. So I'm interested to see, because now that Raquel has been attacked, you could position her as the face as well. I'm interested to see next week. I think Dakota will have the fans, but
I know I popped when it happened. I've always been a big fan of Dakota Kai. When she started off in NXT, I kind of compared her to Bayley a little bit. And actually, that might have been Ryan Bogus that initially came up with that comparison. I think it was spot on. She's just an easy person to root for. She's a very likable character on TV. She's a good wrestler. And I think this opportunity here against Raquel Gonzalez is long overdue. I believe Dakota has had title shots against Shayna Baszler in the past on NXT, but nobody really expected her to contend with Shayna because of how dominant Shayna was. Raquel Gonzalez, the way her title reign has been going over the past few months, and granted, I'm a big fan of Raquel, I think she's kind of in the Kross area, and maybe that's why NXT is in a weird spot right now and a lot of people aren't connecting, is I think Raquel's reign is very similar to Kross's, as they are both dominant heels, but like, what else is there to them,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think in the COVID era, it made sense to try it with Raquel, right? Let's put the title on her. Nobody's here. We can kind of see how it works. Now they're at full capacity again at the Capitol Wrestling Center. Not a ton of people. I wish.
I hate that.
And this is why I think, and we'll talk about this maybe at a later point, but I think that's why AEW is positioned ahead of NXT in many rankings. They're traveling, man, they're white hot right now. But you have Karrion Kross, who's not really super resonating. He's just not the killer that you think he was, right? He used to be
not Killer Kross. Yeah, he's Karrion Kross now. Yeah,
and Raquel Gonzalez, much the same way. She's strong, athletic, things like that. But I don't know why I want her to be the champion. Why should I be liking her, supporting her, or even hating her? I don't have a reason to hate her either.
That's I think the bigger thing here is because she's being portrayed as a heel, but I don't want to hate her. I just think she's a dominant force in the women's division. She's our champion right now. But I'm not emotionally connected to her by any means,
And she needs, like, in this Dakota Kai match, she needs to wreck her like Bobby Lashley did with Kofi, drag her, and then you're seeing someone that you naturally, easily like in Dakota Kai just being run. I think then you're like, wow, and then at least there's some kind of heat, right?
Yeah, and if you look at those two title matches that we are probably going to get, the major ones with Kross and then this one right here, I feel like both the titles can't change hands at TakeOver. So if you're going to have one lose, maybe Dakota Kai is that one, and they book it exactly like you're saying, just like the Lashley treatment, I personally would like to see Dakota Kai win. I think she deserves to win. I think they need something to freshen up the product a little bit in NXT, but like you said a little earlier when we started talking about this, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out over the next few weeks.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm interested. When is the TakeOver? Is it the day after WrestleMania?
Day after SummerSlam.
The day after WrestleMania. The day after SummerSlam. Is it at the Capitol Wrestling Center?
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
And I don't like that.
It should be in Vegas.
It should be. Why not?
I wouldn't be able to go to that one because I'd have to get home, but
put it where the Golden Knights play. It's a smaller venue. It's not Allegiant Stadium. They're not going to fill that.
Yeah, and that's what they always do.
They deserve it too. Like NXT, they've been wrestling in front of 100 people for the past year. They deserve a bigger crowd because they're working their asses off down there, and NXT is always good. Speaking of a group that's always good on NXT is Hit Row. Now, Hit Row had a match on this episode of NXT. They lost via distraction by Legado del Fantasma, but that's not really what I want to talk about, Tuck. I want to know what your opinion right now is on Hit Row. I believe we might have touched on it one or two times before we took our long break, but now we are starting to see Hit Row very established. They've cut a lot of promos. They've had a few matches. Swerve as a champion, I feel like it is connecting on all cylinders right now. What's your thoughts on Hit Row?
It's one of my favorite parts of the show. I just think it's so impressive. They basically wrap the entire promo, and they're funny. They're witty, intuitive, and things like that. I enjoy watching them. I don't think we actually did get to cover them before we went on our little break.
Maybe not, actually. Yeah.
I like Hit Row, though. I'm a big fan.
It seems like a main roster act, Hit Row does, because the NXT crowd in general, I feel like, doesn't know how to react to them.
Mhm.
But the way they are presented across television and on social media, I think that's a big part too in wrestling now, is how do you present yourself on social media? Because that's just another platform to promote yourself, and cut promos. Ryan Vogus chiming in, Hit Row is almost as good as Max Caster from the Acclaim. He's a big fan of the Acclaim.
Yes.
Which
I actually would not
Max
pick
Caster.
for Ryan. Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to be up his speed.
But because it doesn't seem to be up his alley, that's probably why it is.
That is very true. So Hit Row, they obviously have the North American Championship now. Is it too soon to put the straps on Top Dollar and Adonis?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't have a super good reason. I don't know that they're that good to put the rocket on them right now. I think it's one of the best things that NXT has. Hold them where they're at, put them on the chase.
I don't know if it's a hot take over the past month. I think it's the best thing on NXT.
Aside from Cameron Grimes being a golf caddy, yes.
So we don't have. I didn't put that on the outline, so we might as well reference that. This Cameron Grimes and LA Knight stuff is so fucking entertaining. They're on the golf course. LA Knight looking like me out there. I mean, this is setting up, I think, for a tag team run between the two. Don't you think? At least that's my opinion.
Well, it's like I'm trying to think of the right analogy, but at some point, Cameron Grimes has to become beloved to LA Knight. Like LA Knight has to look at Cameron Grimes and be like, all right, the dude's not that bad. And I think the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase in there, kind of like being the synergy between the two of them. I'm here for it.
Oh, it's good stuff. So yeah, I almost forgot about that. So Hit Row, the LA Knight and Cameron Grimes stuff, carrying NXT right now for sure. Last thing we're going to talk about here for NXT is not Hit Row, as I popped that up on the graphic. It is the main event between Adam Cole, baby, and Bronson Reed. And I know and some of the people watching this know, I am not a fan of Bronson Reed.
Can you explain why?
Isn't it obvious? I mean,
No.
What is there to him?
Oh, there's a lot to him. He's a big boy. He's athletic.
So he's not a bad wrestler. I'm not going to go out and shit on his wrestling abilities because I think he's very capable for his size. The colossal gimmick, I can't buy into. I don't think he's a good promo. I can't name a feud that I've been, emotionally invested to that he's been involved in.
Oh, you forgot about that. The other one he did.
Yeah. I think you're in agreement with me, though. Not a big Bronson Reed guy.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. I know there's some people out there, and to each their own, but him main eventing against Adam Cole just kind of gave me a weird taste in my mouth. But the match itself, I thought it was solid. Don't get me wrong. I just couldn't get invested into it. But afterwards, Tuck, we saw Kyle O'Reilly attack Adam Cole. So it looks like we are going to get a third and hopefully a final match between the two. That NXT TakeOver card in general is looking pretty stacked right now.
As they all are usually. Even the sneaky ones are pretty solid as well.
Vogus comparing Bronson Reed as a Samoan Keith Lee. I actually get into, I think Keith Lee's wrestling's better, and I think Keith Lee can actually cut a better promo.
I love Keith Lee, so it's really tough for me. Even like kind of watered down Raw, like Keith Lee, I still like him.
The watered down Raw Keith Lee is not great. They need to figure that out. But no, what were you gonna say about the NXT TakeOver card?
Well, like even the lesser known card, Stand and Deliver in your house. A lot of these like you get TakeOver, you get really excited for. They're always good.
Always.
Just always good. So,
and the last few cards, I don't think from top to bottom have been this eye-popping. Like you're going to get Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly again. You're going to get Raquel versus Dakota, Samoa Joe versus Karrion Kross. I'm not quite sure what direction you go with the tag team championships, but you have MSK there. Maybe they face Imperium because Imperium got a couple wins. That would be fine with me. But like you said, overall, NXT TakeOvers always deliver. But do you have any final comments on this main event itself between Adam Cole and Bronson Reed?
No, it was good. Like your comment on Twitter, might be a good time to send Bronson Reed up to the main roster, I guess.
Or do you send Adam Cole? Do you send Adam Cole to the main roster?
Send Adam Cole to Raw and let him do something. Like Raw needs people. Yes. And I do think they're trying, though. I think they're
Are they? Because we're seeing a lot of repeats on Monday Night Raw.
I think they're trying. I'm an eternal optimist. That's my problem. So Monday nights, I'm like, this is the week. It's going to be good. And
no, that's a good point by Vogus. Yeah, we're getting Walter versus Dragunov there on that card too. Yeah. Could you imagine a Walter versus Samoa Joe match? Oh man, that would be exciting.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Something that could happen. Say Walter drops the title here at TakeOver, and then Walter's like, I did enough in the UK. I'm coming after Samoa
Coming
Joe.
Stateside, yeah.
That's
I have a Walter autograph from one of the pro wrestling crates, and it's a picture of him basically impaling his opponent. I can't remember who it is, but his entire half of his forearm is in the dude's chest.
I think we referenced that and tweeted it out one time.
Oh, he lays it down. Walter lays it in.
It is as real as it gets when Walter's in a wrestling match. That's a good point by Vogus.
Yes.
Him being on that card is going to make that show even better. So I'm very excited for that. SummerSlam in general is going to be interesting because that's the same day as my fantasy football draft. So I don't know how that's going to turn out. We will see what happens. But overall, I thought NXT was okay. I don't want to harp on it too much. I haven't been huge on NXT lately. I think you would agree with me, right? Not huge on it.
No, it's kind of treading water. It's just kind of hanging out. The boat's in the water. Maybe doing laps in the lake instead of heading a freaking direction. So it's kind of frustrating, but
it is frustrating. But thankfully, there's more than just NXT out there, Tuck. We have AEW, which has been very good over you could say the past calendar year, and it's only going to get better. So this week's Dynamite started off with 10-man elimination tag action between the Dark Order, Hangman Page, taking on the Elite. First off, Tuck, these entrances. How entertaining were those entrances by both these squads?
I loved them. I don't think the Young Bucks or Kenny Omega should ever be caught on a basketball court type looking thing again.
No,
not good. My favorite part of that whole thing, match aside, all of the extracurriculars is it Brandon Cutler?
Yeah, I think that's his name.
And now. Spraying the spray everywhere,
mid-match,
all the time. I loved that. That was funny, but both entrances very solid. You could see Hangman with the Dark Order doing Dark Order things, but they are his things. He's putting the gun up instead of the hand, and so I loved the package about cowboy shit as well.
Yeah, we can say it on the show.
The production level's good. Intro was good. All Elite Wrestling's good.
Just seeing the Dark Orders with that vignette they showed before the entrance has cowboys, just with the pyro and the purple Titantron. It all seemed to make sense, and it just felt awesome to watch. And then the Elite Squad coming out with the Space Jam theme because they were promoting Space Jam 2. That was out. That was just a great way to kick off Dynamite. But the match itself, I thought, was a fun way to go at it. I personally was thinking that the Dark Order and Hangman were going to win, but we got a surprise win, I would say, with the Elite getting the pinfall here. What do you think about that? I thought I was very shocked to see that.
Well, later on in the show, they mentioned that because Hangman lost, he would have to go down in the rankings, and that's trash. If that's true. But, in the 10-man, you think, okay, it's going to come down to Hangman and Omega, and they're going to clash. So we're going to spend 25, 26 minutes just to get to that moment. But there were false finishes. There were very creative spots getting people in and out of the ring that
a 10-man tag's tough.
Exactly. You got 10 bodies to manage and maneuver. And I didn't think that it was I thought it was a great open to a show. We're gonna open the show, go right into it. Here we are. It's not a too long promo in the middle of the ring that sets up the main event that nobody asked for anyways.
Oh, so Monday Night Raw, that's what you're talking about virtually there. I feel like Raw has always started off, hey, we're gonna have a promo in the ring, like you said, and then just
somebody cuts in. Okay, now we got a tag team. Here's a 6-man. Cool.
Yeah, that's the thing I've noticed about AEW. They just get straight to it, and then they'll filter in like the interviews and the promos in between everything. But it seems like they are consistently always getting straight to wrestling. And that is what is in their name, All Elite Wrestling.
And that made a lot of sense when they were going head to head with NXT on Wednesdays. Start off hot, try to keep the eyeballs on your TV. And I'm glad that they haven't changed that approach, being unopposed.
Yeah. And they just know what they're doing now. They've been established here. Dynamite has been for a couple of years. They've definitely figured out how to run a full 2-hour show. They're going to get some help when Rampage debuts here in a couple weeks. So that's going to be exciting to see more talent get used. But if I'm not mistaken here, Tuck, Paige and Dark Order lost their title opportunities here, right?
That's what it sounds like. I don't know if it was uninformed commentators going off the cuff on what they believed, or if they knew that was a fact, because that would naturally, for the end of the night, put Christian Cage in front of Hangman. I hope it's not true, because Hangman and Omega is what we need.
So I thought they established last week that the loser would lose their title opportunities. Maybe I'm just making that up. I know for a fact it's with the Dark Order, because they did reiterate that on commentary after the match. Yeah, I don't know about Hangman.
Hangman lost, even though he didn't get pinned. It was it wasn't his fault.
Well, but here's my thing. So say Hangman lost that title opportunity. We are a month away from All Out. There's nobody else that's going to step up and challenge Omega, right? Like, Hangman's got to earn an opportunity in the next couple of weeks, wouldn't you think?
Well, that's when, with Christian Cage losing or winning at the end of the night, they're like, okay, well, he was right behind him. I don't know.
There's also those rumored names out there that could potentially sneak up the rankings. I don't know when they're going to debut them, but we will talk about that in a little bit. So yeah, very good way to start off AEW Dynamite. And now we do know that AEW Rampage is officially moving one of their shows to the United Center on August 20th. I know you definitely saw this brief promo by Darby Allin referencing the best in the world. The best in the world. Somebody said that once, didn't they?
Who was it? Was it Hornswoggle?
Phil Brooks? CM Punk. That's who it was. CM Punk.
Okay, CM Punk. Yep.
Have you ever heard of the guy? Kind of good.
Yeah, I've heard of him. Again, kind of I'm excited, but I'm out of the CM Punk loop here.
So now we're not keeping this a secret. Like, AEW is feeding into the CM Punk rumors. They don't want this really to be a surprise, because they were throwing out subtle hints the entire time. The crowd was chanting CM Punk.
They booked the United Center. They're trying to sell tickets, bro. That thing holds like 20-something thousand. Like, it's not. It's like 2 Sears Center. That when they played at DePaul, where Revolution was, like, the United Center eats those places alive.
20,000, right?
Yeah, like, it's a lot. I'm gonna look it up and see.
WWE hasn't been to the United Center, maybe not ever, but I know it hasn't been a while. I know they haven't got like clearance or something like that. So the fact that AEW was able to book the United Center, the biggest indoor arena in Chicago, is absolutely huge. And AEW Rampage isn't AEW Dynamite level from what I know. I think this is going to be treated as kind of like the secondary show for AEW, but it is going to be the second week on the 20th for Rampage. So if you want to pop a rating, you want to get people to tune in on a Friday night and say, hey, SmackDown, you're getting DVR'd. I'm going to go watch AEW Rampage, because we're in Chicago and there's a guy that's from Chicago that's being rumored to debut.
23,500 for concerts. So similar setup, you got like You can get people on the floor. So they could fit up to 23, 22, 23 and a half thousand. I don't think they come close. Do you?
If the Punk rumors heat up even more, yeah.
Well,
I think this is a big deal. Okay. And that's probably why the hints have started. They want to prove the fact that, hey, CM Punk's going to be at the United Center. Go ahead and buy some tickets. Now, I looked at tickets when they made that announcement. It still said it was in Hoffman Estates. Obviously, that is not the case. But the Hoffman Estates tickets were going for like $35. You could get a solid seat for less than $50. I don't know how that's going to go with the United Center, but we may find out tomorrow. I know Vogus and I are looking into potentially buying tickets to go to this show. The pre-sale starts tomorrow, so we're going to look into that. But
absolutely.
Overall, man, and we talked about this last week, or at least I brought it up first. Darby Allin versus CM Punk might be the first feud for Punk in All Elite Wrestling.
Yeah, and I'm here for it.
It's weird that you're getting two faces though, but I feel like just their characters will be able to create a good feud.
Do we know that CM Punk's going to be a face?
Also true, but how is the crowd not going to react as if he's a face?
0% chance he's going to be received as a heel, but yeah.
No, I don't think he ever will. I think if you even say Punk hypothetically wrestles 3 years and he turns in his second year, nobody's going to give a shit. They're going to cheer for CM Punk the whole time.
Yeah.
When you're that powerful on the mic, you have those powers. But overall, I'm pretty excited because if I go to AEW Rampage and Punk debuts, woo! That's gonna be exciting.
That's the 20th?
20th, yeah, Friday.
Fuck. I'm gonna be on a plane down to Vegas too. So I gotta figure out how to
That's a huge weekend. So you have Rampage on Friday, SummerSlam Saturday, and Takeover on Sunday.
Yeah.
And you also have Warrior Wrestling.
Yeah, brilliant. The thing that's nice again about the pay-per-views is the pay-per-views will start here. They start here at 5:00. So I'm not up till the break of dawn watching, interesting. I mean, I'll still be up to midnight with WrestleMania, even if it starts at 3 p.m. But
right.
All the other ones should be okay.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on here on AEW Dynamite, Lance Archer defeated Hikuleo. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that. Hikuleo to defend his IWGP US Championship. You could kind of see the inexperience of Hikuleo on display here. It seemed maybe a little bit too soon to showcase him in a match on AEW against Lance Archer. How did you feel about it? It just didn't connect with me.
You ever play a video game and you don't completely lag out, but you definitely see that you're skipping frames where it's it's not slow motion. It's not a lag out like old school Halo where you just get frozen and clipped or whatever. But with Hikuleo, it seemed like we were just missing some frames, right? Getting into holds and out of holds, and kind of the fluidity of the match didn't, to me, seem extremely pure, which is something you don't even think about when you have the Blue Bloods in the ring. So that's kind of what I felt as well. It was it's not bad. He's not terrible. You can just tell he needs a little more shine.
So yeah, the term they use in wrestling is green. He definitely is green in terms of the business. I believe they say he's maybe only been wrestling for 2 or 3 years, and it's just I think it's a tough spot to put him in because Dynamite's so hot right now. You have a loaded roster. You could have put a guy like Miro in that spot, or even, I mean, there's so many other names: Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page, yada yada yada. It felt a little rushed to put him on TV. He's 30 years old, not that experienced. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but at least we got to see Lance Archer. He's starting to get heated back up a little bit.
Yes.
I like the crossover between New Japan and AEW because then it's not just adding more talent to AEW, it's adding more title belts.
More talent, more titles, more opportunities for people on the roster to go over there, and it's personal brand development,
right?
As well, which is something that WWE wants nothing to do with. They want
That's
true.
True.
They want to control every spoke in the tire for every person, and we've seen that become a problem with Zelina Vega and the like that. So I think it's great. I have a tough time. Like, it's gonna take like a big title switch to happen. It's gonna take somebody losing the AEW title on a New Japan show for it to become real. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times I think that whoever goes to the show, whoever's visiting won't lose. That's my opinion right now. And then you're in the murky waters of like, bro, I don't want to watch New Japan, and I don't have time to watch WWE, NXT, AEW, and New Japan just to keep up.
And Impact, because there's a little bit of a crossover going on there.
Yeah, so it's good. I think it's good, but there can be too much of a good thing as well.
Then they'll be able to figure it out, I'm sure, because AEW has really been adapting over the past couple of years as they're starting to get into the groove of live television. They got another show, like we said, Rampage, coming out. But another thing I would like to see personally, if we're going to just kind of critique AEW in a way, is we haven't really seen major titles flip on Dynamite. Now, it doesn't need to happen often. Hell, it doesn't even need to happen every year. But if you look at Monday Night Raw, you look at SmackDown, there have been titles that have changed. I can't think off the top of my head of a title change on AEW. Can you? Like Dynamite? I'm trying to think.
I can't, yeah.
TNT Championship, I think, when Brody beat Cody. I believe that was the dog collar match on Dynamite. But never a major title, not like a women's title or anything like that. That's something I would like to see, because then it gets to a point where it's very predictable when you get on Dynamite and you see this championship matchup, like Jungle Boy versus Kenny Omega. We all like Jungle Boy. Nobody thought he was going to win.
Correct.
We got a comment here from Vogus. I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of titles changing on TV. Doesn't feel as big. I don't think it needs to be frequent, like I was saying. I just think the occasional surprise, it keeps people on their toes when they're watching weekly television. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, okay, so Kenny Omega.
What about him?
That was on Dynamite.
Oh, really?
Yeah. December.
Was it?
Yeah. 2020.
Oh, shit. I forgot about that. Well, I guess I was kind of proven wrong there. Maybe
remember,
I didn't even remember that.
Remember Don Callis helped him steal it, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Like he won it dirty, and then he was on Impact the next day.
Yeah. Okay. Now it makes more sense. I don't know. I like it occasionally. I think it keeps the product fresh and whatnot, and a little less predictable.
I think if you sprinkle them in every once in a while, it makes it important to watch the shows.
Yeah.
You know, Rey Mysterio won the United States title at the Raw we went to. I think it was Raw.
Rey Mysterio also has won a WWE championship on Monday Night Raw.
Mr. Monday Night Raw.
I don't think they call him that, but
nope.
But maybe he's not even on Raw anymore. But the main event here on AEW Dynamite was the No Rules match between Nick Gage, MDK, versus Chris Jericho, the Painmaker version of Chris Jericho. Going into this match, Tuck, what were your expectations? Was there excitement going into this, or are you not really a big fan of the hardcore style?
So I don't need death matches to be a pro wrestling fan. It's impressive, some of that stuff that they do. Like Nick Gage has definitely found a niche. He's got an episode of Dark Side of the Ring, which is fascinating. Nick Gage is an interesting fellow. Robbed a bank, or tried to rob a bank.
Robbed a bank without a mask on. Isn't that what JR said?
Right in. Yes, robbed, literally, yes. But so I know Nick Gage a little bit, and I know what he's capable. Like the whole dying for 8 minutes thing that's not a joke. He was passed out unconscious. They didn't think they were going to get him back, and he did wake up and try to get back in the match. Like, well, I got to give him a finish. Like, at least let me go get pinned. And they're like, dude, you're an idiot. Stop. Know. But I was wondering and interested in how much they were going to get away with or put on TNT. That's the thing.
True.
If you're bringing in murder, death, kill, Nick Gage, bad man. Okay, like how much you're gonna get away with. My thing is props to Jericho for what what he took too. Like that's obviously not Jericho's style. He probably doesn't favor that. Probably doesn't wake up trying to get smashed with fluorescent light bulbs. But he got through it. But even early on with the pizza cutter cutting him in the bicep, he looked like uncomfortable. Like this is not great. I don't.
He's
like
am
this.
I actually going to die in this match? Like
I
this guy,
I might die here.
So yeah, going into it, I wasn't really, too excited about it because that's not my style, And like you said, blood was drawn early in the match as he was using a fucking pizza cutter of all things. He cut Jericho's bicep with a pizza cutter. I mean, we saw light tubes. We saw that glass piece set up between the two chairs, which I was a big fan of that spot. Seeing Nick Gage going through the glass in the chair, I thought that was probably the highlight of the match. I think that
it was impressive visually as well. You saw people in the stands picking glass out of their
glass
clothes.
went in the front row. They said it got to the front row, so that's not great. But
no, well, you signed up for it. There's probably if you buy a ticket, you assume AEW assumes no responsibility.
True,
right?
Especially if you're going to watch Nick Gage fight in the main event of Dynamite.
I think that shows at the beginning of the show, you have a very well coordinated 10-man elimination tag. Again, not the best match in the world, but a free match to start a TV show. Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Hangman, Dark Order.
Sets the tempo.
Good, right? And obviously planning and preparation have to go into that. Great. Very athletic. Good show. Good match. And then at the end, you have
good story too. Good story.
Yeah, absolutely. AEW almost kicks it back to the independent scene with how rough and rowdy this particular match got on worldwide cable television. I saw conflicts on Twitter about people saying how could they, kids go to these shows? How could they allow that to happen? But I'm of the opinion that you were there for you knew for
what you're getting into. It's right. Nick Gage. They're selling that as it's going to be a blood fest. And that's essentially what it was. Now, like I said multiple times, I'm not a fan of that style. I wasn't huge on the main event, but I want to say from a storyline standpoint, so now what MJF is putting Jericho through for Jericho to earn that shot at MJF, I think that is a good way. He's climbing the ladder, so to say. And I think Nick Gage, as that second step, was a good test for him. Do I want to see Nick Gage on Dynamite ever again? No, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think he's needed or a part of that roster. His style doesn't fit.
I don't think his niche is wide appealing enough. Nick Gage is not going to be the reason AEW takes over, or reaches 1.5 million viewers. I don't think so. And I don't think his appeal is so well-rounded that he can show up week to week. If he's not slinging pizza cutters and glass and light bulbs, I don't know. He didn't strike me as a great wrestler.
No, I was going to say that he's not a good wrestler. The match quality was ass. Let's be honest. Call a spade a spade. Yeah. Right. He's very slow moving, and there wasn't really much wrestling thought going into it. No psychology.
Right. And I'll go out there and say he's probably the best to ever do the death match. One of the
sure.
top.
Yeah.
But he's the best at the death match. Sure.
100%. So was that match good to you? I think we'd both say no, probably.
I would say that, I don't need to see it again, but major props to Jericho for his selling and getting through it. I believed that Jericho was in pain. I believed he was uncomfortable as he's looking out as MJF comes down the ramp again. At the end of the match, he looked dead. Jericho looked like he was in pain and suffering. And so that's what I liked and appreciated about the match. I don't need it.
Right. It's a fantastic visual to add to this ongoing story between MJF and Jericho. And that's what I can appreciate, because not everybody's going to enjoy the same style of wrestling. But when you look at the bigger picture and how this is being built as a feud itself, I think it served its purpose. So like I said, not a huge fan of the main event, but I just wanted to say this, Tuck. I think AEW as a whole has the pro wrestling world in the palm of their hands. I think the hype is in their court. They have all the rumors in their favor. And it can only get better from here, right?
Well, yeah, like I've been known to say before, it is a great time to be a wrestling fan, and there was response to the rumors clips that we put out on Twitter last, and someone said like, "There's no way that AEW will catch," but I'm like, I don't. Again, I don't. I don't think we're expecting AEW to get to WWE's viewership, capital, finances, all that kind of stuff. But if you are crazy to think that AEW is not a legitimate competitor to WWE, because if you eliminate SmackDown, like SmackDown is watchable, good, sure. But like if it's Raw versus AEW and I only have 2 to 3 hours to pick, I'm not tuning in on Monday because AEW is diverse. The product's good, and
The crowd is louder and more excited to be there.
well, AEW fans are like, they're chaotic. Yeah.
I'm trying to get a good visual here of Chris Jericho on our screen, but I don't think it's going to work. But I was going to show just how rough he looked at the end of the match, but our faces are covering it up.
That's probably a good
thing. Yeah, we might get booted from YouTube from showing that in the background or something because of how visual it is. But let's just talk about this really. We got like a couple more minutes here. We can wrap this up about an hour. Why is AEW so much better than WWE right now? And I think it's obvious to say probably the fans, wouldn't you say, is part of it?
Well, the fans, I don't think they're not afraid to take chances. They're always now. I think they're buying into the fact that the rumor mill is a thing, so they're not trying to hide and get bit. Not like you see with the CM Punk stuff, especially if it is true and it does happen. They've laid the breadcrumbs. They're more invested in their storytelling, and you saw that with Jericho's opponent next week.
Yeah, it's a legend,
Guerrero.
isn't it? Okay.
Yes, Juventud Guerrero. He mentioned him in 2019 when he first faced off against MJ. That's hilarious.
That's long-term storytelling right there.
Yes, and now I think that's so long they got lucky, but
a little bit.
Like,
yeah,
he mentioned that.
Like, oh wait, we mentioned that name. Let's throw him into this feud.
Yes, and Juventud is still available. He is still wrestling on the independents.
Can't believe that.
It's solid. He had a freaking sweet like mask, lucha mask. So we'll see. I remember him from WCW.
Yeah,
it was WCW. Yeah,
yeah. I think you're right. I don't know much about him, but that story itself is great on AEW. AEW is absolutely killing it, and they are just going to get better because, like we talked about last week, you have the rumors of Bryan Danielson, CM Punk. They already have that loaded roster. We didn't even talk about Malachi Black today, and he's in a feud with Cody, light versus dark. That's what they're kind of selling there. That is fantastic in itself. Man, AEW just clicking on all cylinders, and that's all I really got there, Tucky.
Is Rampage going to be 2 hours? Is that a 2-hour show?
I don't know. I want to say yes.
I hope,
but it could be an hour. I would love a 2-hour show because I think if you have 2-hour shows going on, it's only going to help with your overall viewership. I think if people watch Rampage, they're going to want to watch Dynamite and vice versa. It's like we watch Raw, but we also watch SmackDown. So why not?
Correct. I'm trying to see if it says.
Probably doesn't say. I don't even know if they've honestly announced it.
The show marks the 3rd hour of AEW weekly programming.
It'll be an hour.
Network. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's an hour because I think they can do so much with the 2-hour time slot.
Friday. It sounds like it's going to be.
Is it a television thing?
They're going to play it after. So it sounds like you'll get more than 1 hour of wrestling. They're going to play that hour after SmackDown is done.
Oh, so they don't want to go head to head with SmackDown.
But yeah, so it sounded like the article I was reading. It's a late night, like 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central start time.
Envision it now, Tuck. It is August 20th. You are in the plane. But a young Gagliarda and a young Vogus are just, filing into the United Center. And then you just hear right after Friday Night SmackDown. I mean, I'm excited just thinking about the possibilities that are going to be happening here over the next
if you're trying to steal shine from WWE, SummerSlam's arguably the second biggest event of the year.
I would say it
debut
is.
CM Punk in Chicago the day before SummerSlam. Nobody's talking about it.
That's
Nobody's
it.
talking about SummerSlam.
Summer what?
John
I
Cena,
don't know what that
John
is.
Cena's going to SummerSlam. Nobody's talking about it. Like,
no. And that's probably what they're going to try to do. They're going to try to cuck WWE before the second biggest event of their year.
And props to WWE because they manage to have a counterpunch. They are good at that. But a lot of times their counterpunches are big name part-timers and things
Brock
like
Lesnar, which I would like. I would like Brock Lesnar.
Maybe we'll see. There's got to be something because Roman denied the challenge.
That's true. Roman versus Finn Balor. We didn't talk about the main roster, but it looks like that matchup might be happening. When? I'm not sure. I guess we will find out tomorrow night because we're recording this on Thursday. You're probably listening to this on Friday because we release the audio form of every episode of the On the Mark Wrestling podcast the day after we do the live show on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So, Tuck, before we go, we're going to start giving out an MVM of the week. Who do you want to give it to? I'll let you give out the MVM, the most valuable mark of the week.
Well, early on in the show, you got to acknowledge Ian for the early comment, right? Comes in, establishes his
2 Ian comments.
Yes. Erica goes on a heater. We got four in a row and five total. But again, Vogus just buries her. And again, like you don't even have to acknowledge the high comment. Like that's just shush, right?
Doesn't count,
but
right?
Vogus, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like he's got like 9 comments, but there's 4, 5, 6 very solid ones. I think Ryan Vogus is the reigning undefeated 2-time most valuable mark of the On the Mark Wrestling podcast, 2 weeks in a row. Hats off. Again, it's interesting to see how these subplots and these storylines are going to unfold because now, I think Erica, she started the episode hot, right? She started the episode thinking that she was on the throne, and Vogus opened the door and assumed what was rightly his. He contributed from top to bottom. Come on.
Vogus was the cleaner there, the Kenny Omega of the show.
Yes,
he let the opening match go, and then he just said, "I'm the main event. I'm taking that."
And Eric is gonna have to, try to pull a Cody and take a sledgehammer to the throne next week. I'm excited to see how it unfolds. But at the end of the day, our comment section and the chat is fuel to our fire. Right? We got an hour into this podcast, and I don't know that we get as much without the people that tune in and listen. So we appreciate them. And
100%. So if you're gonna watch this or listen to this at a later time, you can always check us live. We are going to hopefully be doing this every Thursday night on Facebook.com/OnTheMarkPod. Go to our Twitter, follow us at Pod on the Mark, or you can go to the OTSN YouTube channel. Just type in Overtime Sports Network. Look for this logo right here. Give us a subscribe and tune in there as well. Tucky, that's all I got for him this week. You want to send us home?
I'm excited to watch SmackDown. Excited to fall asleep about an hour into Raw on Monday. And then again,
I'll be there. Me and Vogus will be there.
Oh, that's Raw. This week. Okay, so
yeah.
Where are your seats? Lower level, upper level?
I think we are lower level. I think Vogus scooped up the lower level for us. I'll confirm with you in a little bit.
Well, now I have to pay attention to see if I can see you.
I don't know what shirt I'm going to wear because all my shirts are on SmackDown. I just got the head of the table white shirt for Roman Reigns.
I bought the black one that was on sale. I got
you got it. Okay. All right. So
I don't trust white shirts in washers. So that's like a thing all the way back from my Gary, Indiana, like well-watered ghetto days. But so I ended up with 4 more black t-shirts from the WWE shop on their little sale thing. I got Undertaker, Dexter Lumis, a Ric Flair one, choice. And then Roman Reigns. So
you can't go wrong with Roman.
Correct. So hopefully another good week in wrestling. We're on our way to AEW Rampage in a couple weeks, SummerSlam, things like that. It's a great time to be a wrestler. Everybody, we appreciate you and thank you for listening to the On the Mark Wrestling
podcast.